The movie begins in 1913 in the dusty South Texas town of Starbuck. A gang known as the Wild Bunch, led by Pike Bishop and disguised as U.S. cavalry soldiers, rides through town. As they pass, a group of children is seen cruelly placing two scorpions onto a red anthill, an ominous and symbolic image that mirrors the film's brutal themes. The gang proceeds to rob a railroad office. However, unknown to them, a scrappy posse of bounty hunters, led by railroad detective Patrick Harrigan and Pike's former partner, Deke Thornton, is lying in wait on the rooftop of the San Rafael Hotel across the street. The bounty hunters, along with a rough group of hired guns, are ready to ambush the gang. Just as the robbery is underway, a temperance union parade led by Reverend Wainscoat passes through town, singing a hymn often associated with funerals. The hymn's presence adds to the tension. Members of Pike's crew spot the bounty hunters on the rooftop. To help his gang escape, Pike shoves a railroad worker out of the building to draw the hunters' fire, sacrificing the man as a diversion. Meanwhile, Crazy Lee stays behind to hold hostages inside the office. A chaotic and bloody shootout erupts between the gang, the bounty hunters, and innocent townspeople, leaving many dead. Only 6 gang members manage to flee, the rest are gunned down. After the fight, Harrigan and Thornton's crew come down from the rooftop to loot the corpses. Crazy Lee is eventually killed by Harrigan. Outside town, the remaining outlaws Pike, Dutch, Angel, brothers Lyle and Tector Gorch, and Buck regroup. Buck has been shot in the face and is blinded, unable to ride further. With grim mercy, Pike puts him out of his misery. The surviving members of the Wild Bunch make it to a small Mexican village, where they're met by the elderly Freddie Sykes, who has brought fresh horses and supplies. It's then they discover the grim truth. The bags they stole during the robbery contain nothing but steel washers. The whole heist was a trap set by the railroad. Tensions rise as the hot-headed Gorch brothers nearly turn on Angel and Sykes in frustration, but Pike and Dutch step in to keep the peace. Later, Sykes quietly tells Pike that Crazy Lee, the gang member left behind during the robbery, was actually his grandson. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Deke Thornton was granted parole under the condition that he helps the railroad capture or kill his former partner, Pike. Although Thornton sees the men in his posse as gutter trash, he has little choice but to continue the chase. Through flashbacks, we see that Pike once left Thornton behind to be arrested by railroad detectives. Another flashback shows how Pike got his lasting leg injury. He was caught having an affair with the married Mexican woman and was shot by her husband. Pike and the gang eventually reach Angel's home village, where they rest for the night. There, Pike meets with the village elder, Don Jose, who explains that the town was recently attacked by General Mapache, a corrupt officer loyal to Mexico's Huerta. Mapache's forces hanged Angel's father and took Angel's lover for the general's pleasure. Though Angel claims he won't seek revenge, it's clear he's consumed by the need to settle the score with Mapache. The gang rides into Agua Verde, General Mapache's stronghold, planning to trade their horses. While visiting the general, Angel spots his girlfriend, Teresa, now serving Mapache and presenting him with a pony. Overcome with rage, Angel shoots her while she's in Mapache's arms, nearly triggering a violent standoff between the gang and Mapache's men. However, Pike and Dutch manage to de-escalate the situation. Despite the incident, Mapache and his German military advisors hire the gang to hijack a U.S. arms shipment in exchange for $10,000. Angel agrees to join the mission on the condition that he's allowed to take 1 crate of rifles back to his village for protection. Pike and Dutch accept the deal. The gang successfully raids the train, though Thornton and his posse happen to be on board. A chaotic chase follows, with a bumbling unit of cavalrymen joining in. The Wild Bunch leads them to a bridge over the Rio Grande, where a 3-way shootout breaks out. As they cross into Mexico, the gang detonates dynamite rigged to the bridge, sending Thornton's men flying into the river and allowing the bunch to escape. Once regrouped, Thornton and his crew continue their pursuit into Mexican territory. While traveling back toward Agua Verde, the gang examines their loot and discovers a Browning Model 1917 machine gun among the stolen weapons. One night, they are suddenly surrounded by a small band of Pancho Villa's revolutionaries, friends of Angel, who briefly take them hostage to establish control. Once Angel explains the situation, tensions ease. Pike and Dutch are quietly impressed by the revolutionary stealth and discipline, but the Gorch brothers are furious at having been outmaneuvered. Just as quickly as they appeared, the revolutionaries vanish into the night. While awaiting news of the gang's successful heist at a nearby telegraph station, General Mapache and his entourage are suddenly ambushed and scattered by Pancho Villa's forces. In response, Mapache sends Captain Herrera and a squad of soldiers to rendezvous with the wild bunch in a wide ravine. The meeting quickly turns tense when a jumpy Mexican soldier fires at the wagon carrying the stolen weapons. Unknown to Herrera, the bunch has rigged the wagon with dynamite. Pike, unflinching, lights the fuse to make a point. To defuse the situation, Herrera executes the soldier who fired the shot. When it seems like the rest of his soldiers might attack, the bunch unveils their trump card, the M1917 machine gun, already assembled and aimed at them. Herrera backs down, realizing they're outgunned and that the gang is willing to die rather than be double-crossed. To manage the risk, the bunch begins handing over the stolen rifles to Mapache in small batches in return for their promised payment. But trouble arises when Angel and Dutch arrive in town. Mapache, tipped off by Teresa's grieving father, who blamed Angel for her daughter's death, learns that one of the weapons crates was given to the rebels. Angel is seized and beaten, while Dutch, helpless to intervene, is forced to ride away. The gang regroups at a canyon outside Agua Verde, awaiting Sykes, who's gone to fetch their pack horses. A heated argument breaks out about what to do next. Before they reach a decision, Sykes is ambushed by Thornton's pursuing posse. Despite Sykes being his old comrade, Pike decides not to help him and instead focuses on returning to Agua Verde to try to save Angel. When they arrive, Mapache, who has brutally tortured Angel, refuses to release him. Instead, he invites the gang to stay the night, offering them women and alcohol as a distraction. The next morning, Pike quietly reflects on his fate while gazing at an empty whiskey bottle and the woman he spent the night with. Resolute, he joins the rest of the gang, Dutch, Lyle, and Tector, as they arm themselves with rifles, shotguns, and sidearms. Together, the four men march to Agua Verde with grim determination, heading straight to Mapache's compound. Once there, Pike demands Angel's release one last time. Mapache, drunk and smirking, seems to consider it, only to suddenly slit Angel's throat in front of them. Without hesitation, Pike and Dutch shoot Mapache dead. The surrounding soldiers, caught off guard, hesitate in confusion. For a brief moment, Dutch chuckles, half believing they might actually get away with it since the killing seemed justified. But Pike isn't laughing. His expression makes it clear he's made up his mind. He raises his weapon and kills Captain Moore, Mapache's German advisor. That act triggers a brutal and all-out gunfight. The bunch begins mowing down Mapache's officers and soldiers, eventually taking control of the machine gun. They inflict heavy casualties, but the overwhelming number of enemies quickly turn the tide. Lyle and Tector are riddled with bullets as they try to operate the gun. Pike, shot in the back by a Mexican prostitute whom he manages to kill, continues firing until he's finally gunned down by a young boy and several soldiers. Dutch, charging forward in a final act of loyalty, is also killed in a storm of bullets beside his fallen friend. After the smoke clears and Mapache's forces lie in ruins, Thornton and the few surviving members of his posse ride into Agua Verde. They begin scavenging the bodies of both the fallen soldiers and the wild bunch. Thornton, however, pauses with a look of sorrow as he surveys the corpses of his old comrades. He picks up Pike's revolver, still holstered and unused during the fight. When the bounty hunters prepare to return to the U.S., Thornton refuses to go with them, choosing instead to remain behind. Not long after, the bounty hunters are ambushed and killed somewhere along the trail. In the film's closing scene, Sykes arrives in Agua Verde, accompanied by Don Jose and a large group of Pancho Villa's revolutionaries. Thornton silently watches them enter town and makes his decision. He turns his back on the railroad and joins the rebels, walking away from his past and into a new cause. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.